Good morning, my creative friends. Dr. Minette Riordan here with Painting in Your PJs, live with Minette. And throughout the month of August, I am working on a deck of oracle cards. They're coming along, super cute, having so much fun with them. But I'm moving kind of slow. So I thought this morning, okay, how can I maybe speed up the process a little bit and make it go a little bit faster? So my plan for today is I've drawn some interesting sort of Picasso-esque, maybe more abstract faces, but I went ahead and pre-drew 4 faces, and I'm going to see if I can move through these faces just a little bit faster. So I'm so jealous because my friend Tori has already finished her deck. She created a beautiful deck. Good morning, Tori. Good morning, Leslie. And so that's my goal for today, is to see if I can move a little bit faster and at least get base layers down on these, because I can always come back later and add more details to the cards. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. Minette Riordan. This is Painting in Your PJs, live with Minette, where we are all about looking at art as a creative process for exploration, personal growth, self-development, awareness. For me, it's really fun to make pretty art, but it's even more fun and impactful to make meaningful art. And I've been wanting to create a deck of oracle cards for a long time. And the thing that's staying consistent is my palette. I've got a turquoise blue, my favorite Amsterdam Azo Yellow Deep, and a quinacridone magenta, along with mostly some white. Sometimes occasionally a touch of black as well. But I love this primary palette. Is so simple, it's easy to work with. And as you can see, it's made it, simple. I've added some glittery gel pen to some of these, but all of these cards, even though the face styles are different, there's still that symmetry in the deck because of the colors. But today I thought it might be fun to work on a couple of these cards that are inspired by kids' abstract drawing lessons in sort of the cubist style of Picasso. So I took a couple of cards that already had painty backgrounds and did some kind of crazy drawings. I'm not sure if they're going to be a fit for the deck or not, but I'm still kind of in that playful experimentation stage. So that was where I decided to go today, and I realized I did not grab any water this morning. I've been sitting here drawing all morning and then realized, oh, I'm not 100% prepared here this morning. Good morning, good morning. Happy to see you, Blanca. And we'll just use a lot of brushes and that will work fine. So I'm thinking with her that maybe we're going to start with a magenta background, get some color down on the background. And do I even have any brushes over here? I think my daughter absconded with all my brushes, so I might have to take a pause for a minute and go grab my bucket of brushes, because this is like the only one that's sitting here right in front of me. I'm still getting organized. We are just back from a fast and furious 5-day trip to Yellowstone, so it's a day's drive either way. And 3 days was not enough to do that gorgeous park justice. I hadn't been there in 27 years. My husband and I went on our honeymoon 27 years ago. And then prior to that, had been probably 15 years because I went with my parents as I don't know, young teen, middle schooler maybe. And we went in June when I was a kid. We used to always, with my mom and my stepdad, take these amazing driving trips every summer. And one summer was Yellowstone, and my grandmother came with us. And I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, where it never snowed. And we got stuck in a blizzard in Yellowstone. And my brother and I thought that was the most fun thing ever, to get stuck in the snow. This year there was no snow. There was absolutely gorgeous weather. It wasn't too hot. The mosquitoes were pretty fierce, but the wildflowers everywhere were just absolutely stunning. Okay, I'm going to have to go get some smaller brushes, but just getting some base layers of paint down. And this week I will be here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. I have an early morning appointment. So I will be here Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday is the schedule for this week. Summer schedule's been a little bit tricky and wonky. And I'm kind of trying to look at this going, where am I going to go with her face? It's supposed to be abstract, so I'm thinking I want to do something. I even almost kind of like the plain white, but I think she needs a little bit more color there. And please forgive me, I'm going to go grab my other brushes and I will be right back. All right, sorry about that. Still no water down here. One of these days we'll get a sink in the basement, but good enough for now. And I'll just make sure I get up there and wash these. So I'm thinking I'm going to make half of her face blue and half yellow or maybe even green, and we'll just see where we get to. This one has a lot more space in the background. Some of the faces have really been filling all of the space. So, maybe she's going to get one of the little birdies sitting on her head, just something like feeling like doing something a little bit different is how I'm going to stop from getting bored with this project. So I have definitely been thinking about how am I going to keep this fun and playful? How am I going to keep it interesting for myself and viewers watching me, create this way in a series and create enough of them to complete an entire deck without getting bored? And my palette is staying the same, and my theme, midlife women, is going to stay the same. But I'm wondering how much variation I can do in the look of the faces and still have it feel consistent, right? Still have it feel consistent. Okay, that's kind of the perfect brush. So let's just clean that off a little bit. And this blue may be darker than I want. I think that's darker than I want. So I'm just going to come in, and it's going to be a little green because I still have some of that yellow in my brush. When I paint small spaces, I have to focus more for sure. Okay, so that one came out pretty dark, but I don't want this part of her face to be that dark. And as I'm looking at these, smaller things, it's like, okay, the poscas are going to be really fun, I think, to come in with some of the details. And of course, I think my poscas are sitting over on the other side of the room as well. But we got back Sunday night, and unfortunately, my daughter's partner woke up with a cold on the last morning, and I'm pretty sure we're all sort of fighting off that cold as well. So yesterday was definitely a day of moving slowly. Okay, she's kind of quirky and interesting looking. What's everybody else working on this morning? I know Leslie had already created a deck. Tori, you finished your deck. What other projects are people working on? And I'd be curious too, while we're all just sitting here hanging out, when you tackle, a bigger project like this, how do you stay engaged? How do you stay engaged? Like when I did the 100-day project all about the quirky animals or artsy animals. I'm going to just see if I can diminish that glare. It's so hard when the paint is wet. I didn't limit the style. I didn't limit the substrate, right? It could be any style of art that I wanted, and what was stayed the same was the theme. So in this case, the two things that are staying the same are the color palette and the theme of faces, right? So those things are the same. And my substrate is going to stay the same. It's all going to be created on these 2.5 by 3.5 cards painted with acrylic paint. So I definitely have some similarities here. And I'm just going to grab an extra card to clean my brush off with. Get some paint and some marks. Keep those brushes clean. And so for right now, style is one of the places, and experimentation is one of the places where I get to play and have variety. And while I was on my trip, I practiced drawing some male faces as well. So excuse me, I'm looking at, what kind of variation can I add to the deck. And the other thing I think that's really been helping is for me to have some fun with the practice in my journal. So rather than trying to, just getting a little green going here. So rather than trying to um, do them right on the cards where it could get, boring, or I could run out of ideas. Okay, that feels like a fun background already just from cleaning off my brush there. But what I discovered was that, I could have a lot of fun with just the practice of drawing in my journal. And so I kept drawing just different faces. I got a little book on expressive faces of all kinds. And so while I was gone, I did do a little bit of drawing practice. There's my not so awesome bison. We saw a lot of big bison, and my grizzly bear. But I still worked on some faces while I was there and while I was on the road. So just kind of working on some different styles, and these will all get translated to my cards. And so that makes it easier to stay engaged, is to go back and forth between the drawing practice, and I need a tiny brush, back and forth between the drawing practice and the card painting. I love Tori said knew she couldn't go for long, so kept it simple and powered through. And you're leaving next Tuesday for vacation. And remind me, you're going to Florida. Is that what you told me, Tori? Yeah, so powering through is great, but my time is limited. I'm doing this live, so I'm present to, the limitations of time as well. And so I think about, okay, I'm only getting a couple of these done a day, so it's going to take me longer. And so part of me is like, yeah, I really also want to spend some time and power through. That is something that, keeps me going as well. And some of this gets done live here with you, but there's also agreed. That's why I spent some time drawing this morning, because it felt like, okay, I need to keep this project moving for myself. So how can I do that? Because I'm spending a lot of time on the fun part, which is the painting the cards. And so it felt like, I wanted to make sure that I had the time that I wanted for the fun part but the important part has been the practice and the drawing parts. So what's missing here is the bold black lines that I love. So that's going to be a next step here, is to give her some bold black lines and then some interesting marks. And I'm thinking maybe a fun little quirky bird, or maybe a cat. I don't think I've added a cat to any of them. Sometimes, once you get so many of them going, you don't remember. So she had a bird, she had an owl. I think we already have a couple of birds. She has a dragonfly, which hasn't been painted yet. And that one had another birdie on it. I keep adding paint to this one, and some of them don't feel quite done yet, so I keep also going back through them. So maybe there's going to be a little kitty cat head popping up. So I think, having some of that playfulness feels really fun, because I am definitely about deep play and how can we create more play in our lives. And cats are like great examples of so much of what I teach, right? So some of the principles I teach in my Your Midlife Renaissance program are deep rest, deep connection, and deep play. And cats are great at rest and play, alternating between those. And then they're also great at connection when they want to connect, right? When they want to connect. Okay, she's looking pretty cute here. So definitely kind of a different style, but she definitely needs those bold black lines, but it's a great start. I feel like I have some paint down on her. So I'm going to put her aside to dry and grab another one, which now I've lost in my stash here. Where did they go? I keep moving things around and then I lose them. All right. There's one. What did I do with them? All right, you guys, it's clearly still Minette has not had enough coffee, because what did I do with the ones that I prepared? I wanted to work on that other really abstract one, and it's gotten lost in my stack here somewhere. There she is. No, that wasn't. Well, that's a pretty cute one too, but that's not the one I'm looking for. So they all kind of stick together. There aren't that many places on this little tiny table where they could have gone either. So I'm wondering if they've just kind of stuck together. Okay, so clearly that one did not want to be the one that's painted, because I found 3 out of the 4, but not the other one. So we're going to work on this one because I really liked this design. And Blanca said in July she was inspired by an herbal astrology oracle deck in my newly found mini trading cards to recreate the image by feeling the words used to describe. Oh, that sounds really beautiful, Blanca. I love that. All right, so I kind of looking at this green here, want to get some lighter color going on her face. And go back to that style that I've been enjoying, where different parts of her face have different colors. And I like that they look similar and different, right? Similar and different. So trying to find those parts of the process that feel, gives them all kind of that same look and feel, yet each of them has that sense of being an original as well. Get some of that blue going here. It's very interesting painting on the colored backgrounds as opposed to the more white backgrounds, right? Because the whenever you're working with acrylics, whether you're working on a large canvas or whether you are working on a smaller piece like this one, the undercolor has a big impact. Just cleaning off that brush. So it's important to pay attention to what it is that you discover that you like, right? And notice how this is a great thing to just experiment and practice with. I was going for pink, but I had some blue in my brush, so we're getting kind of an interesting purple there. But just starting to notice how undercolors impact the whole result. Whether you start with a dark undercolor or a excuse me, or a bright undercolor or a neutral, but rather than always excuse me, starting a painting from just that white background. And that's what I love about mixed media, is that we're always focused on creating that variety, right? Of just noticing how those undercolors have an impact, how those undercolors have an impact. I think it's one of the great lessons that we can learn. Okay, I'm thinking maybe a little bit of orange here. And on my plate this week is to start working up some sample pieces for my upcoming Tree of Life retreat, which is happening here in my home studio in the end of October. And I've had, okay, don't like the orange on there at all. Interesting, it shows very differently on the screen than it does on the card, but I need some brighten that up. So because I have that green undertone, we're not really seeing that orange on there. It just ends up looking kind of a little bit dirty. And I may not like the yellow either, and so I may come back over all of this with my blue, but sometimes I just have to let it sit a bit before I decide or commit. Okay, it's interesting, not necessarily where I was going. And I kind of like the blue and the purple, so I might just come back and I like the yellow on her forehead. It feels like there's going to be maybe a spiral or a flower or something in her third eye space there. But I think I'm going to stick with my blue and purple. Get a little bit of that yellow mixed in there. Let that dry, and then I'm going to bring back in that little more of that purple, although I can still see it underneath. So already I'm starting to see how that underpainting has an effect on the whole. Expect it or not, doesn't matter, but it's there. Me too, Tori. I hope so too. Fortunately, your husband he's pretty healthy, active guy, and I think that helps a lot with the recovery. All right. Get her funky lips going there. And I'm liking that pink, so let's bring some of that pink in some other places. And I'm looking at this color combo and thinking she needs some nice dark brown eyes. A bit of a shadow under her neck there. So the blues and the magenta definitely work nicely over the top. I'm thinking that I want her hair to be something, really pretty and vibrant. So I'm going to need to paint that a lighter color. I'm going to get some white on there first, cleaning off my brush some white-ish because my white now has all kinds of colors mixed in with it. Oh, I love that, Blanca. Just enjoyed following along, but your challenge is a fast sketch on a smaller size. Yeah, it is. That's what I've been enjoying about that sketch process as well, is just seeing those pages fill up. Maybe her hair is just going to stay white and then have some pattern or texture added to it with something else because I'm kind of digging just the white hair on there. And maybe we're going to make that hair flow just a little bit more. So I stay mostly true to my original drawings, but by the time I translate the drawing to this page and also she needs some cheeks. Um, and then add the paint over the top of that, there definitely ends up, they don't look exactly like my drawings, and that's okay. Like it's all about the experimentation and the trial and error. Okay, so let's mix up. I keep getting my brush in that orange up there. A little bit of brown. So to get brown with this palette, I end up mixing pretty much some of all of the colors together. What my friend Andrea calls and others call a mother color. It's almost a little bit hazel. Oh, it is. It's kind of a dark, almost khaki green. That's kind of a pretty color, right? And so we don't know until we try. Yeah, I'm liking this one a lot. I'm liking it more than the other one, but I think the other one is going to be quirky and fun once I get her. I'm just cleaning off my brush here. Once I get her little tiny brush patterns and lines added. So I'm going to get these nice dark eyes in here. And then once that's dry, I'll come back in with the black and the white to finish up those eyes a little bit. And then because this ended up coming out kind of nice and green, I'm going to come back over here and add that green to my leafy pattern. This is actually a favorite zentangle pattern. It's a variation on flux. And I will come back and add. So what was missing for me on these are maybe some of my hand-drawn zentangle elements, a few more patterns in the background. So some of the faces were big, so I thought, okay, let's try drawing. So both of these have smaller faces and more space around them. So I want to try adding more marks and patterns because that's always something that I do in all of my art, and so I want to be able to showcase that here, and I wasn't doing that as much on the first set. And maybe we're going to get this nice dark green on these big bubbles over here too, and then we'll come back in with lighter colors and brighten all of those up. again, these feel like, they're good starts on everything, right? Good starts on everything. But nothing finished. And I think this is going to be a fun way to move the process along, is to get a bunch of the faces started, then come back with the poscas, right? So again, I'm looking for how can I speed the process up. All right, so I'm going to want some of this pinky purple color in the backgrounds. I'm okay with some of that original green continuing to show through. In fact, I think her dress is going to stay green, but it needs a little more paint on it. And again, just being, a little more intentional with some of the patterns in the background, almost as if there's, a fence line back there, there's a landscape happening. Again, I never know when I start each of these where they're going. I'm super excited to start spending some time sitting down with these and doing some writing, looking at the list of words that I've created, seeing if I can start matching up some of the words with some of the art. Getting some more green happening. Again, the more that I can incorporate little critters or animals, the happier I am. So I'm thinking it's going to be fun to have some kind of a little critter over here in the background. Again, I'm just cleaning my brush off on the extra cards, which is going to create some of those nice underpaintings. And then I just set those aside when I feel like I have enough paint on them, and grab another one that feels like maybe it needs a little more paint. It's a great way to use up your extra paint. So I'm feeling like this is needing some more brightness in the background. And so maybe I'm going to come in here. Sometimes even just adding a touch of white to your yellow can help improve the opacity of the yellow. These brushes. So I'm very, very hard on my acrylic brushes. So I use lots of cheap brushes and I replace them often, because what I love is I tend to really scrub the surface, right, of my whatever I'm painting on with acrylic, which destroys the ends of the brushes. So I buy super cheapy ones wherever I can find them. All right, that feels better. I'm getting some light in there. Definitely feel like what's missing is some blue in the background, our darkest color. So I have that, brighter blue in her face, but some of the pure turquoise would not go amiss in just a couple of places in the background. I feel kitty feet. Hi, Georgia. You want to come say hi? Yes. When I was sitting here drawing this morning, she so desperately wanted to be part of the process. And she kept chasing my pencil while I was sketching. She was just so incredibly helpful. So if you come to a retreat at my house, You have to at least tolerate kitty cats because they definitely enjoy being part of the creative process, as Leslie can attest to. George is definitely the more skittish of the two. All right, this is where I need some water down here because I've got a little bit on my face. So let me see if I can find where's my wipes? There. So I saw somebody, I think it was Julie Balzer, she posted on Facebook this fun thing about, what's that supply in the studio that you can't live without. I love somebody said coffee. I would agree with that. But for me, it's baby wipes. Like, it's amazing how much I use baby wipes in my practice. And like right now, I don't even, because I didn't have water down here, I can use these to clean off my brushes enough. But they're such a great way to just sort of clean up things and to remove paint. And one of the things that I love about working with acrylics is everything is paint overable. And I don't want to overwork her or do too much here because I know I'm going to come back in with those bold black lines. All right, so it's her turn to get set aside to dry. I'm going to come back to this one. And let's see, I saw a nice, where'd my permapaint go? It's time to, nope, that one's dead. Time to make a trip to the art store, gee darn, and stock up on some permapaints. My awesome little Jerry's Artorama has a great supply of those kind of things. I don't think Michael's carries the permapaint, but I do really love these for the permapaints. So the poscas I love also, but sometimes the poscas can spray when I'm drawing with them. I get a cleaner line with the permapaint and it glides really nicely over the top of the. It's interesting. So this was one, there's oil pastel underneath, and so I'm noticing how that posca is like going right through the acrylic paint and pushing all the way back to some of that oil pastel, which is fun. You get some interesting texture there. But putting the black outlines change everything and helps me see what still needs to be touched up. And this sort of, interesting cubist style here. Definitely not my normal, but kind of a fun, funky little addition here. Yes, Georgia, I know. You're so helpful. She's trying to eat my microphone. So helpful. And I wasn't sure if I was going to like her or where I was going with her. And as soon as I'm coming in and adding these black lines, I'm seeing more potential and possibility. Yeah, I had the thought she needed a butterfly also, and I actually have a great butterfly stencil somewhere. She might need a butterfly. I've done a dragonfly, but not a butterfly yet. Thank you for that awesome suggestion, Leslie. And I even have this, I have a butterfly sticker that fell off of something else. So we could just try it on and see. I'm not sure that one's the right, it needs more color on it, but the butterfly in the hair is kind of fun. What do you think? that one might be too big. I might need a little smaller butterfly there, but sometimes like stickers and stencils, again, they give us that great opportunity to sort of just try things on for size. And I think I'll come back with the nice shiny gold and add some gold to her necklace there. Yeah, the black lines make a big difference. So I like the idea of the butterfly. I think she needs a blue butterfly, and that one feels a little bit too big, but it tells me I'm going in the right direction. Okay, so that feels good. I'm thinking like it would be fun to add a, what I'm thinking is, do I have a bigger black here? I do. Is that I might want a checkerboard in the background. So I'm going to come in with this thicker black and give her just a really dramatic, bold background, and then the butterfly will get put over the top of that. And this is one of the most classic beginner zentangle patterns, Knightsbridge. And I like it because it just kind of adds drama to things. And I'm not always a big fan of the grid patterns, but I do love how this one really can create a lot of visual interest in a background. And this is where the poscas come in so handy. And I think this is going to make her stand out. I'm thinking I'm also going to maybe want, I might even want a black and white grid in the background so we make her pop out. And then I think a collaged butterfly will be perfect to come over the top of all of that. So before I can add the white, I want to make sure that that black is super, super dry so that I get a really clean checkerboard in the background. But I'll just keep working back and forth on these two. How am I doing for time? Um, until they're at a place that feels finished. But I do like having started with the drawings done on a few of them. I still only got two done, right? So I'm being mindful of the time spent, and I'm enjoying the process, so I don't feel the need to rush, but I also, feel the need to move along, right? And they are sweet. They're coming along. So let's see if we come in. We might not even need like the whole thing to be blacked. So if we want to keep just a little bit of pink in there, but brighten that up just a little bit. Yeah, I think what I'm noticing, right? So I'm on week 2 of this project, I think, or is it already week 3 of the project? And I'm still loving the faces. I'm still like eager to get here to work on them in the mornings. I'm still happy to have time spent practicing the drawing of them. Georgia, you can't sit up there. Go on. She always wants to lie right on top of any paper that I leave on the desk. And of course, she ends up knocking everything off the desk. Okay, so what I'm liking about this one is how different it is from any of the others. And I want them to be the same yet different, right? They need to be the same yet different. Each card needs to have its own flavor. I like that little bit of pink in the background. Feeling like she needs a little more white in her face just to brighten her up. So I notice as I look back at some of them where some of them feel kind of dark. You were such a little pill. You have to lie on everything. Get. All right. You know, I love my kitties, but sometimes they are a royal pain in the patootie. And this definitely feels like it needs some brightening up, but let's come in and make that heart a nice shiny gold. And we'll make that chain around her neck a bright shiny gold. And because we want to make sure we have that gold in a few different places, I'm going to add that over the black grid. Well, she's definitely different, right? She's definitely different. I'm feeling like she needs some contrasting color and marks in her hair. I thought I had my pretty sparkly green one here, but apparently I don't. And sometimes oil pastels are great for coming over the top of things and adding marks and texture. So let's just see if we can, what we could do. And if I don't like it, again, I just come in with more paint. And I want something fun down here on her blouse, but I want it to be a contrasting design. So we've got a lot of squares and dots up here. So I could do diamonds or flowers, but I'm thinking diamonds are going to be a really nice contrast. We'll see if my Identi-pen wants to go over the top. I've had this one old set of Identi-pens for ever and ever, and they're all on their last legs. But that's another fun thing about this project is like I'm testing a lot of pens. I'm going through things, right? Getting rid of the detritus. Okay, the diamonds are right, but they need to be a brighter color. So I love the shape. But the green's just a little bit too different than the other colors on my palette. So it doesn't feel like it's quite a match. So I'm going to come back and over here, and we're just going to mix up a little bit of green and get our little teeny tiny brush. Yep, that's what it needed. It needed them to be brighter and to match the green that we've got here on her cheeks and in her eyes. I might even bring a little of that green back there back. Much better. All right. Don't love the green in her hair so much. So I'm going to think about what I want to do. I'm wondering if her hair just needs to be... No, I like the orange. Okay, so I need to stop working on her. You thought of the butterfly for the previous one. Awesome. I like the butterfly for this one too, so we'll see. But okay, this one needs to like sit for 24 hours and then I'll come back to it. But I'm liking her quite a bit. And again, this butterfly is just too big for these cards, but it's fun to test things, right? Almost look like there's water flowing behind her hair there. So whatever's going to go in here is going to be smaller than this. But nope, I think the butterfly is for the other one. So you were right, Leslie. And about a butterfly, but just for a different card. All right, so this one is also ready for its black around the face, which always helps me know where to go next. So that'll be my last step for today is I'm going to get the black lines on this one. And then I will be back tomorrow morning, as always, at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. And my schedule this week is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. I can't be here Thursday, but I will be here on Friday. She's got kind of a little bit of a sleepy look going on there. I definitely like these sort of straight noses and the big wide eyes. Like as the more of these create, like the more I learn about the style and expression of faces that I enjoy drawing. And I'm learning that I like painting the face and then coming back with the black. Sometimes I start with that black, but then I always end up having to go back and touch it up again. I'm also feeling like her shoulder needs to come back over there, so we'll get some more green and a little better shape going around here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the hair yet. It may just be these sort of flowy lines. But again, I always get to this place where it's important to get it to a certain stage and then walk away. I love to finish them so I can move on to the next one, but what I'm noticing is that the more, that I'm willing to slow down the process and step away. Like it was fun to come back from 5 days of vacation and look at them again and see, okay, this is great, this needs some work. Like I'm looking at all of them and none of them feel 100% done yet. They all still have some just, little touch-ups. And I could have a ton of fun just with my black pen adding marks and patterns. And then coming back with more color here. So I love her face and how it came up. I'm noticing that her chin isn't quite in the right place. Like I want the roundness of her chin to be rounded here. So I'll just come back in and touch that up with a little bit of blue paint. And then I want to bring my pattern back through all of that paint. Must be time for breakfast. All of a sudden my tummy got really gurgly. And these little leafy bits definitely need some brighter green on them. It isn't all an exploration. Yep, 100%. And suggestions are always welcome as well. And she's gonna maybe have a little ruffle on her dress. And maybe we'll see just a little bit of her arm over there. And I might paint that blue a little bit later. We'll just give her body a little bit more dimension. And again, I need to pull that, see if that green's still wet enough. It's going to be very dry and hot here the next few days, so I just notice, right, like how fast my paint is drying. That often is showing me what needs to, when I need to work faster. And I wasn't sure if I was going to add the black here, but I feel like I do want that black in this pattern up here. And I'm thinking maybe there's going to be some little field of flowers peeking through the edge of our fence there. So they're good first layers, right? And I totally, what Leslie said is 100% smack on, that there's more detail to be added to these, but I'm on the right track. I love the, where all of these things are going. Loving the experimentation and play. And I love what I learn along the journey about myself, about the painting, about, what it is that's I enjoy. All right, come on, you silly thing. So I have a mixed feelings about the white jelly roll pens. I like the Uniball Signo, but when these work, they work great. It's amazing what coming in with just those little bits of black and white can do. And I love the layering of the black outlines and the white outlines. But what I'm feeling over here is I really want to get a bright posca, and these need to be a much brighter green. And these here need to be a much brighter green as well. But it's time to pause, right? It's time to pause. We made great progress today. Again, nothing. Oh, I love the glitter or the metallic gel pens. And nothing's finished, but it's a good start on both of them, and they will get finished later. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm Dr. Minette. This is Painting in Your PJs live with Minette. I will be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button and the like button and let me know that you're enjoying the journey. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Bye.